the founder of Tesla. But then, why does this court document say that he is a co-founder of Tesla? To understand this, I spent days reading the court documents, the lawsuits, and the history of Tesla to understand how Elon Musk orchestrated one of the most hostile takeovers in the recent history. Guys, this is the most important story that you should know, because someday you might just create something revolutionary, but if you're not prepared, then an investor might just sweep in and steal everything from you.
The story of Tesla started in 2003, where these two guys, Martin and Marc, had just sold their ebook reader company and were looking for the next big idea. And what did they come up with? Electric cars. So the very next day, they registered a company named Tesla. But there was one small problem. To make a car company, you need lots of money, for which you have to find investors who are ready to put in that money.
But no one wanted to invest in Tesla because at that time people thought electric cars were these ugly looking, impractical cars with very small reach. And to top that, General Motors had already tried launching an electric car but failed due to lack of demand, and in the process they had lost over $1 billion. So naturally, no one wanted to bet on Tesla. An investor had to be crazy to take on such a big bet. And lucky for them, there was one crazy person, Elon Musk, who had just sold his company PayPal for $165 million. So they met Elon and shared their vision that Tesla won't be like any other electric car, but it would be fast, good looking, and would have a very good range. Elon Musk loved this idea and was ready to be their first investor and wrote them a check for $6.5 million. But there was one small condition. Elon Musk wanted to be the chairman of Tesla.
So since they needed the money and there was no other investor who was ready to put in that amount of money, they had to agree to Elon's condition and make him the chairman. So now Martin was the CEO and Elon was the chairman, which meant that Martin as the CEO would look into the day-to-day operations like designing and building the actual car, whereas Elon would look into the general direction of the company. But practically what happened was completely the opposite. Elon started getting involved in every day-to-day decisions. Let me give you one example. Martin and his team had already designed the doors for Tesla, but one day Elon just walked in and completely changed the design. And this was not just a one-time thing, it kept on repeating again and again. As a result, the conflict between Martin and Elon just kept on growing and the car launch kept on getting delayed.
But lucky for them, when the car finally launched, it was a huge success. Everyone was talking about how good the car was. In fact, every news channel covered it. Tesla was on top of the world. But there was one small problem. Elon's name was completely left out from the media coverage. And to make matters worse, there was this one article from New York Times which mistakenly referred Martin as the chairman of Tesla, and this made Elon furious. It was not about cars anymore, but about who got the credit. So Elon wrote a very angry email stating his disappointment.
I was incredibly insulted and embarrassed by the New York Times article, where I am not merely unmentioned, but where Martin is actually referred to as the chairman.
This was the first big crack between Elon and Martin, or should I say between the chairman and the CEO of the company. Now for any company to succeed, it is very important that the chairman and CEO work together, but this was not going to happen in Tesla. So either the chairman or the CEO had to be replaced.
But who will stay was no longer the founders' decision, because to build this car, the original founders, Martin and Marc, needed a lot of money. So they onboarded a lot of investors, and because of this, Martin no longer had a controlling stake in the company. So Elon took advantage of the situation and he held a secret board meeting without informing Martin. In this meeting, Elon convinced all the investors to remove Martin from the CEO position, which meant that just after 4 years from starting his own company, Martin was no longer the CEO or the chairman of the company. And the worst part was that Elon Musk started calling himself as the founder of Tesla. Now this made Martin furious and he went to the court. And after many months of ugly legal battles, they had an out-of-court settlement with an agreement that Elon Musk now can legally call himself as a co-founder of Tesla, a title that was bought and not earned.